Really great to be here for why location infrastructure is the future of logistics. As Michael said, my name is Nick Patrick. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Radar. Radar is location infrastructure, and we power use cases like location tracking, geofencing, and routing for logistics companies like HappyFresh, Clipboard Health, a few large enterprises, but we also do a lot of work with consumer brands, powering use cases like curbside pickup and in-store experiences for brands like Panera Bread and American Eagle Outfitters. I've been in the location space for about a decade. My co-founders and I met at Foursquare, which was an early location-based social app. After Foursquare, I was head of product at a startup called Handy, which was an on-demand services platform, sort of an Uber for X platform for cleaning and handyman services, where I first got exposed to a lot of the location tracking use cases and challenges on more of the logistics side. And my experiences at Foursquare and Handy ultimately led me to start Radar. So I wanted to broadly talk about three topics today. The first is general trends in location, the importance of location technology as a tool to connect the digital and physical worlds. And we'll talk about a few examples there. I then wanted to deep dive into location infrastructure and location use cases for logistics specifically. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we think about solving these problems at Radar. And then I wanted to walk through a few customer examples and the benefits that those customers have seen from adopting modern location infrastructure. So just to kick things off and talk about location in general, we at Radar believe that the best experiences happen at the intersection of the digital and physical worlds. And in fact, our company mission at Radar is to connect the digital and physical world. So before we dive into logistics use cases specifically, I just wanted to talk about a few examples here. One that we support a lot of our customers on is curbside pickup, related use cases like drive-through, buy online, pickup in store, using location signals for arrival detection, understanding customer ETAs as they approach the store to pick up an order, ultimately lets you fire orders at the right time to deliver food hot and fresh, minimize customer wait times. And this is an area that we've been seeing a lot of innovation in and investing a lot in from a products and technology perspective. A second use case is location-aware app experiences, things like in-store app experiences and contactless payments. How do you use location signals to understand when somebody is in a physical space, make those app interactions as frictionless as possible? I think on the logistics side, we've seen use cases like automated check-in or on-premise, on-site experiences powered by geofencing. Ride sharing and delivery. At Radar, we talk a lot about the Amazon effect and the Uber effect. As Michael said, we're used to ordering a package on Amazon and having it show up on our doorstep the next day. We're used to calling an Uber or calling a Lyft and seeing really accurate ETAs and live location updates as the car approaches us. And we as consumers expect these seamless, frictionless, right place, right time experiences from all of the products and services that we use, not just Uber and Lyft. And location is obviously a critical input here. Fleet tracking and fleet optimization. There are millions, maybe billions of trucks and packages and assets moving around the world. Where are they all? How do we optimize routes and deliveries? Obviously super relevant to the conversation here today. Location is critical. In a time of supply chain challenges and worker shortages, every second matters, and location is a critical input for optimizing this and getting it right. Navigation, self-driving cars, connected vehicles, all about maps and navigation. Location is critical. And when we think a little bit further ahead to use cases like augmented reality, which is really all about overlaying location context over the physical world, obviously location is a critical input. And I think all of this is happening in a world where consumers have more choices, more apps installed on their phone, and higher expectations for location-aware, seamless, frictionless experiences across every product and service that they use. So as a logistics company that ultimately at the end of the day might be powering consumer-facing experiences, location is a critical input. We at Radar believe that location is going to power the next 10 years of digital innovation and transformation. And so excited to talk a bit more about that today. But we at Radar believe that location infrastructure is the most important investment that logistics companies can make today. Ultimately, companies that invest in location infrastructure see benefits around increased operational efficiency, new operational insights in terms of, where are my workers or assets in the field, understanding things like delays and wait times and how to optimize operations. Realizing cost savings, especially relative to building location technology in-house or some other vendors. We'll talk a little bit about that. Ultimately, all of this at the end of the day ladders up to better customer experiences, more frictionless, more seamless customer experiences. So just to talk about a few specific use cases, one use case that we see a lot in logistics is intelligent dispatch. To the extent that there are jobs available or pickups available in a certain area, how do you immediately understand which workers, which assets, which vehicles are nearby? Dispatch the job to the right worker, the right vehicle, or the right subset based on location. This is a problem that we faced quite a bit when I was running product at Handy. We had a cleaning job available last minute in a particular neighborhood. How do you find the 5 cleaners who are online? Maybe not even as the crow flies, but within a 5-minute walk or within a 5-minute drive, including live traffic information. So using location as a signal to most intelligently dispatch available jobs or tasks. A second use case is routing and ETAs. How do you understand accurate ETAs when a worker or a vehicle is approaching a pickup or a drop-off? If they have multiple pickups and drop-offs, how do you optimize their routes? Solve the traveling salesman problem, kind of a classic problem in logistics and computer science. And then finally, automated arrival detection and check-in. How do you understand when a worker or a vehicle arrives on site? Maybe you automatically check them in. Maybe you're showing specific app experiences or triggering specific workflows on arrival. And maybe most importantly, how can you trust those arrival signals? When I was at Handy, we had a lot of challenges with workers spoofing their location, sort of making it look like they had arrived on time when they were running late. So interesting opportunities to use location as a signal for arrival detection and check-in. We think a lot about solving these problems at Radar, avoiding reinventing the wheel. So using best-in-class location technology to solve these problems and helping you solve them as efficiently and cost-effectively as possible. We think about trying to redefine what's possible with location. I think there are a lot of preconceived notions around, the accuracy of location services on particular platforms, or just how accurate you can make a geofence, just how reliable location tracking or ETAs can be. Privacy challenges related to location data, which can be quite sensitive. So we think a lot about changing the game here and really opening up new capabilities along the lines of accuracy and privacy. We have developer tools like SDKs and APIs that you can build directly into your apps or call directly from your backend. We also have turnkey dashboards and integrations to make standing up location-based experiences really easy. And analytics capabilities, so analyzing all of your location data, geofence entries and exits, routes, and deriving insights from that data. Ultimately, at the end of the day, helping you optimize operations, deliver world-class experiences with location. Don't want to turn this into a Radar sales pitch, but did want to talk a little bit about some of our product capabilities because I think they help illustrate all the different possibilities with location that might stretch your thinking about what you can do with location infrastructure and geofencing. Radar really started as a geofencing platform. That's our bread and butter. We support really accurate geofences, make it possible to programmatically create geofences, manage tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of geofences. Not just circular geofences, but polygon geofences, isochrone geofences based on driving distance or walking distance, some really powerful capabilities there. Radar also has out-of-the-box place data. So if you want to understand proximity to an airport or a mall or these large public places, you can also tap into that out-of-the-box place data in addition to creating custom geofences. Trip tracking, which is really tracking a trip to a destination. That might be a warehouse, that might be a delivery drop-off point, might be something else, but kind of a mashup of geofencing plus routing APIs. And again, we have both turnkey dashboards and modern developer-friendly SDKs and APIs for trip tracking for pickup and delivery use cases. We have geocoding, search, and distance APIs that are often quite cheap compared to Google Maps or Mapbox or some of the alternatives. We have a lot of customers who are migrating from, say, Google Maps to Radar for geocoding and routing APIs, Bluetooth beacon technology, and then also location verification and fraud detection capabilities. Again, we found some interesting cases of workers or vehicles spoofing their location to make it look like they're in a particular place at a particular time for whatever reason. How do you detect that and prevent fraud and make sure you can trust the location data that you're collecting? Again, privacy, accuracy, and we believe developer experience are paramount. Privacy is often less of an issue for logistics applications where a worker or a vehicle is sort of required to share their location, whereas on the consumer side, there are often more challenges around opt-in. But a lot of these experiences and capabilities I described can be done just with foreground location permissions. Obviously, all location data is sensitive, so we take privacy and security very seriously and help you stay on the cutting edge with compliance, whether that's for privacy or security. Accuracy is paramount, whether that's understanding where a vehicle is on site or in the field. On the consumer side, understanding if somebody is in the drive-through, in the store, in the curbside pickup area. So accuracy down to 5 meters, being able to tap into our best-in-class point of interest data and address data as well. And then we find that increasingly companies, even large enterprises, not just smaller startups, are choosing modern developer-friendly tools. So we have open source SDKs, really flexible. You can sort of describe the tracking behavior that makes the most sense for your use case. Turnkey integrations help you get live really easily. And we take uptime and reliability very seriously. We're powering a lot of mission critical use cases. So 4 nines uptime, SLA is available, and today we're processing locations on over 100 million installed devices. A lot of teams attempt to build location in-house, maybe cobble together a solution using Google Maps APIs or out-of-the-box location services capabilities. It's definitely possible. It's what we tried to do when I was head of product at Handy, but it's super challenging. And location is really challenging and messy to build with. Mastering location services across iOS and Android, implementing dashboards to visualize and analyze the data, a backend to process all the data, making sure that it actually works reliably in the field. It achieves the accuracy that you require, the battery efficiency that you require, the reliability that you require, and then needing to maintain it and scale it over time. iOS 16 comes out, the next version of Android comes out, new location tracking capabilities and restrictions. You have to maintain this over time. And so at Radar, we aim to abstract all of this away, help you get live with best-in-class location experiences, avoid reinventing the wheel, and ultimately get to production with a super reliable, accurate, battery-efficient solution in less than 30 days. And ultimately, that gives you the platform to not only get live quickly, get location right the first time, but also kind of iterate and extend from there to focus on the parts of your product and service, on your operations that are most unique and most important to you, instead of reinventing the wheel. I just wanted to wrap by talking about some real customer applications. We work with both large enterprises for location applications, but also innovative startups as well. I've highlighted Clipboard Health and Happy Fresh as 2 examples here. Ultimately, these customers are realizing benefits like improved operational efficiency with location tracking and route optimization, better visibility and insights into where workers or assets are in the field, where are their delays, where are their extended wait times, where are there things that can be optimized, how do you report on this? Ultimately, better customer experiences, surfacing live ETAs and live location information to consumers that are maybe on the other end of a delivery, and just more reliable product and service experiences in general. I mentioned cost savings and relative to building in-house or relative to alternatives like Google Maps or Mapbox, but helping you get live in a cost-efficient way. Radar as a single solution can help you solve multiple use cases, which in challenging economic times, obviously cost savings and vendor consolidation are very important. Saving hundreds or thousands of engineering hours and ultimately hitting your bottom line in the form of incremental revenue or cost savings. We're lucky enough to work with not just the logistics innovators that I mentioned, but wide variety of customers across retail and restaurants and convenience stores, grocery, travel, gaming, payments, And we believe that, working with customers across verticals gives us, honestly, a ton of perspective on all the different use cases that are possible with location. I think there's a really beautiful cross-pollination of innovation and location use cases across verticals. And but logistics is a key area of focus for us, and we're really excited to continue investing and supporting customers here. So thanks, everyone. I think with that, I'll turn it back to Michael, and I think we're going to do some Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Terrific job today, man. Awesome job. And yeah, we do have a number of questions rolling in. I just remind everybody, we still have time to submit those questions. We have a few moments here to run through a few questions with Nick. But again, as I mentioned before, if we don't get to your question today, we're going to package it up and move it over to Nick, and he'll be able to get back to you directly via email. All right, Nick, so we do have some good questions coming through here. Let's see. The first one here, I'll try to kind of combine it a little bit. And, what you guys are doing is so innovative, and I'm wondering, with this attendee's wondering, how do teams typically build location in-house, before, and what challenges do they face? What was the alternative to like what you guys are doing at Radar, right? So how do teams typically build location in-house, and what challenges do they face?
Sure. There are a lot of tools available to you. Obviously, if you're building on smartphone platforms like iOS or Android, there are out-of-the-box location services capabilities on those platforms. The challenge with working with those is they can be a bit different between platforms. It might require you to write hundreds of lines of code and ultimately maintain that. There are some other vendors out there that look a bit like Radar. But ultimately, we believe that the best location vendors are going to be the most modern, the most developer-friendly, the most full stack and integrated to help you get live the most quickly. And I mentioned a few examples. We find that a lot of our customers and potential customers are rolling their own solutions here using out-of-the-box Android and iOS location services, maybe Google Maps routing or geocoding APIs. Our goal at Radar is to abstract away all of those challenges and cross-platform differences and kind of bring it together under one cohesive solution that's really easy to integrate with just a couple lines of code. So, I mentioned during the presentation, learned this the hard way at Handy, the on-demand services company that I worked at before. We looked at Uber and all of the incredible things they were doing with location tracking and live ETAs, location-based dispatch and route optimization. We said, hey, this can't be that hard to build. Let's put an iOS engineer on it, an Android engineer on it, a server engineer. We'll build on top of some of these APIs. But ultimately spent 6 months kind of banging our heads against the wall.
Right.
Felt like we were reinventing the wheel a bit, and wish we had a platform like Radar at the time. So I think those are the
gotcha. That's probably a pretty standard situation too, up until now, right? I would imagine that's where a lot of folks were residing, and just kind of build on top. So we had a number of questions coming in, Nick, on accuracy. Right, such an important part of this whole sector. So, question for Nick: how accurate can location services get?
Sure. Well, we always tell our customers that if you watch Apple's WWDC conference or Google's Google I/O conference, the blue dot gets a little more accurate on the map each year. And I think GPS tracking hardware, whether that's the receivers and smartphones or the satellites, is going to get more and more accurate over time. I think within that, there are other components to accuracy. So how do you make sure you're requesting the most accurate location information from a device? Maybe you're throwing out less accurate location pings that you get. How do you make sure that you can create really precise geofences, maybe around a particular work site or warehouse or delivery drop-off point? So creating accurate geofences is another component of accuracy. And then for things like routing and ETAs, how are you using the most accurate road networks, potentially incorporating things like live traffic? And our goal at Radar is to incorporate all of that together in such a way that, as far as location accuracy goes, you can get accurate down to a few meters outdoors. You can incorporate things like Bluetooth beacons indoors. You can tap into really accurate polygon data for creating geofences, really accurate routing engine for ETAs. All of that together, I think, ultimately contributes to a super high level of accuracy. But I think if we look at 10 years ahead, accuracy down to a meter or less is going to be really achievable both outdoors and indoors. even vertical location and starting to understand what's your altitude, which floor are you on. All this is going to come together and I think unlock, new types of use cases and just unparalleled, efficiency and optimization capabilities.
Absolutely, that's cool stuff to watch too as we proceed and evolve in this sector. We had a couple questions too about company size. You did touch on it, and the fact that you guys are working with startups, and we saw that impressive list of clients and customers you're working with now. So I guess the question here is coming from some smaller companies. It sounds like Radar can work with startups and also can support the needs of large enterprises, right? So we can take some of that apprehension off the table if you're a smaller startup, correct?
That's right. Yeah. I think we think about how we can build a platform that is something that, someone who's building the next Uber or the next DoorDash could pick up off the shelf and get started with quite easily, but also a platform that's really enterprise ready, that has all of the requirements from a, compliance, a privacy and security perspective, super reliable, super high scale, because obviously a lot of these use cases are really mission critical, and downtime is bad. I think we look outside of the location space, and we look at companies like Stripe in the payment space. We look at companies like Twilio in the communication space. That they're these really modern, developer-friendly, accessible tools that are also enterprise ready. And our goal is to build a platform that appeals to both. I think digital transformation continues. I think 5-10 years ago, it often felt like there were tech startups kind of disrupting things, and there were legacy enterprises doing things the old-fashioned way. I think more and more we're going to see the enterprises that survive and thrive over the next couple decades, doing more of their development in-house, building in-house engineering and digital teams. Maybe you're leveraging some out-of-the-box dashboards and apps to get started, but eventually, if you reach sufficient scale, you're going to have an in-house digital or product or engineering team. So, we believe that taking that modern developer-first approach is ultimately where the puck is heading, and it's going to appeal to a wide range of companies today and in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So now, Nick, we do have time for one more question. And again, I'm going to remind everybody, some great questions rolling in. We're going to capture all these questions and move them over to Nick if we didn't get to yours today. So Nick, to wrap this up, and there were a couple questions here asking you, Nick, about what's coming down the pike. You mentioned that very cool sort of vertical sort of location tracking or accuracy going up. So what products or what capabilities do you see happening in this space, especially at Radar? What do you guys see? What are you guys going to be adding in the coming years? Can you give us a little hint of what the future might hold?
Sure. I mentioned accuracy, privacy, developer experience. We believe those are the most critical attributes of location infrastructure that kind of set a platform apart that the customers really need. So we're going to be continuing to invest there. I mentioned a few use cases around Bluetooth beacon detection. I mentioned a few use cases around fraud detection and location verification. We see applications for that in the logistics space, verifying that workers or assets really are where they say they are. You can imagine, GPS trackers or ultra wideband beacons on shipping containers and vehicles and devices moving around. And GPS is an important signal of location and proximity, but ultra wideband and Bluetooth beacons are really interesting as well. So, continuing to invest there. So, we started as a geofencing platform. We've added additional, what we call context types, basically location building blocks over time, and thinking about new ones we can add while continuing to invest in those core differentiators of accuracy, privacy, and developer experience.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we are up against the clock, Nick, and Nick Patrick, CEO and co-founder of Radar. Great job today, sir. Wonderful, wonderful job. And also, want to remind everybody, too, we're going to be moving those questions over to Nick. He'll be getting back to you as soon as he can via email. And also, please download the slide deck to take that with you, too. So, Nick, great job, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
And have a terrific day.